If you think March is too early to start your garden, you're definitely not alone. A lot of beginner gardeners wait until weather feels warm before planting anything. But here's the truth. If you wait until then, you might already be behind. March is actually one of the most important months for starting your garden, especially if you live in a colder climate like we do here in Massachusetts. Many plants need 6 to 8 weeks of indoor growth before they can safely move outside. So start your seeds now for your garden to have a greater, stronger start. We're going to show you exactly what to plant, exactly what plants you can start in March. We'll go through the herbs, leafy greens, root vegetable, fruiting plants, flowering plants, and even edible flowers. By the end of this video, you will know exactly what seeds you can start right now to build a thriving garden this season. March is really the month when gardeners begin building momentum. Instead of rushing later in the season, this is when we start plants that take time to grow. When you start your seeds indoors, you're giving your plants a safe environment to grow strong before they face outdoors weather. You could control the soil, water, temperature, and by the time spring fully arrives, your plants are already healthy and ready to thrive. Even if you only start a few plants this month, those small seeds can grow into a powerful harvest later in the season. So let's go through the different categories of plants you could start indoors in March. Let's start with herbs. Herbs are some of the easiest plants for beginners to grow, and they do really well when started indoor. Many herbs can later be moved outside into containers or garden beds once the weather warms up. Some great herbs to start indoors is basil. So you could start, I have a variety of a lot of basil here, and all of these could be start in March. So any variety of basil that you have, you could start them in March. So you could start these herbs. So basil, the first one that popular one that everybody would start. So basil needs about 6 to 8 weeks. It's a warm, loving plant, so it needs to go out in the warmer climate. Then we have dill, dill as well. You could start dill from seeds. Next, we have parsley. Parsley also needs to be grown indoors about 8 weeks before planting it outdoors. So I have more variety of dill. We could plant dill. Then another one of my favorite is lemongrass. So lemongrass, even though it's hardy for zone 9 and 11, and in Massachusetts, we're zone between 5 to 7. I am actually at zone 6. It's fine. If you start them early enough, you are going to get a harvest. Cilantro, you could start them indoors. I have different varieties here, a bunch of variety of cilantro. And these are the seeds. So you could start those indoors. And then you could also do chives. I love starting chives because once you plant them outdoors, then it could be a perennial that comes back every year. Every spring, this is the first plant that sprouts up. So we're going to start more to add into our garden. You could also start lavender. Lavender too is a great one to start. It needs about 8 weeks to grow, and then it will come back every year. All right. What else do we need to grow in March? Is sage. You could grow sage in March. I have a huge plant outside, but we're going to start some from seed. You could start these from seeds, and it's a perennial. Once you start them, you want to start them 6 to 8 weeks before your planting season, meaning before your last frost date. You also could plant some thyme. These are great. Also as a perennial, and you need to plant them indoors. Then another one that we could plant is oregano. Oregano is another great one to add to your herb garden outdoors. It also takes about 6 to 8 weeks before your planting season, so warm seasons. Most herbs, all of them, you want to plant them about 6 to 8 weeks. We did basil already, so I have more basil. You could also do cumin. Have some cumin. You could start them indoors. They take about 100 days to harvest. So starting them indoors will give you a head start. And this is what the seeds look like. And it's also the same thing as the cumin spice. So if you have this in your cupboard or your spice rack, you could actually try a few to start them as seeds. Smells so good. All right, so you could do cumin, chamomile. You could start that too from seeds. All right. It takes 120 days for you to harvest the beautiful chamomile. So you want to start them indoors. All right, what other herbs? So some of these herbs are also edible flowers as well. They'll double up as edible flowers. You could do cataway herbs. You could do anise. This is the anise herbs. Sweet marjoram. You could also do mountain mint. The seeds are tiny. Or any mint. All right, this is Korean mint. All right, so that's all the herbs that you could start in March. So basically your whole herb list you could start. You could also start some stevia indoors. You could also do so we said stevia, lemon balm also is a great one to start indoors. So any herbs that you could think of, you could start them in March. All right. Next, and herbs grow very well in small containers and they're very versatile in your kitchens. So, for example, basil and parsley can be used in salads, sauces, and soups, while herbs like thyme and oregano add flavor to so many everyday meals. So, starting your herbs indoors now allow them to grow stronger before they are transplanted outside later in the spring. So you could start transplanting these guys outdoors in the spring, which is wonderful. And by the end of the growing season, you will have a lot of herbs that you could add into your garden. All right. Next, let's talk about leafy greens. Leafy greens are another excellent category for beginner gardeners because they grow quickly and they tend to tolerate colder temperatures. Starting them indoors in March allows you to transplant them outside later and have an early harvest. Some leafy greens you can start indoors include, let me show you them. So we have some kale. So I have a lot of varieties of kale here. So we have kale, all different type of kale. We have black magic kale. This is regular kale. Some white Russian kale, Siberian kale, and then lacinato kale. These are all kales that you could start in March. Another thing that you could start is Swiss chard. You could start all the different varieties of Swiss chard. Well, you have the rainbow one, you have the green one, you have the giant ones. All of these guys you could start in March. Swiss chard is very delicious. I love Swiss chard. Another thing that you could start in March, all of these collard greens are great. Is a perennial. It'll come back. It could tolerate cooler temperatures, so you could start them all varieties. This is Great. And then you could do some spinach. You have spinach here. Let's see. I have two containers here. That one is done. So we have some spinach. So we could do some spinach. And then I also have other unique varieties. So Lucia is a Egyptian spinach. You could start them indoors too. It loves the warm weather, so you have to start them now, 4 to 6 weeks before your last frost date. Ifo also is a leafy green from West Africa. It thrives in heat and it resists pests, so you could start them too. So I think all the leafy greens you could start them in March. Mustard greens are a good one. You could start those in March. All different varieties of them. You could start them all. Mustard greens. You could also do lettuce, all variety of lettuce. So this is a loose leaf lettuce. These are great. You could start them in March as well. Other lettuce. You have other varieties of lettuce here, like iceberg lettuce. We could also do arugula. We could start them indoors as well. Lunex, so it's a good one. You could also do a mezzanine mix. You could do this brown gourd one. So there's so many. When it comes to leafy greens, almost all of them you could start indoors. So any leafy greens that you could think of, like Asian greens, we could do the radicchio indoors. You could do salad mix indoors. There's the Asian greens, so all the bok choy, tap choy, you could do those. Tap choy, pak choy. You could also do arugula indoors. You could start your cabbage. And this one is a unique one. I never had it, but a Korean perla. We start those indoors now in March. So for leafy greens, it's a long list. Amaranth, you could start them now. Do I have any seeds to show you? I don't have any amaranth seeds. Sorrel, you could also start them now to go out. They're also cold tolerant. I have some that I planted, actually these in the garden, and once the weather starts to warm up a little bit, they're all gonna sprout up. They're perennials. What else do we have here? I think that's it for the leafy greens. These are Asian greens. These are all good. Many of these greens grow quickly and can even be harvested multiple times through the season. Leafy greens are also incredibly nutritious, perfect for salads, smoothies, and cooked dishes. For beginners, lettuce, kale are two of the easiest greens to start with. Now, let's talk about root vegetables. Most root vegetables are usually planted directed outside, but there are a few that you could benefit from starting them indoors. These include onions. Onions, you could start them indoors as your root vegetables. You could do all different varieties of onions, so your scallions, your green onions, any big bulb onions, all of them, start them indoors to be planted outdoors. Start them in March. Another thing that you could start is some of your tubers. So this is a sweet potato. You could start them now in March as well. You could also do regular potatoes as well. Some would start beets. I would recommend you to do it in a direct seeding. That will be a whole nother video that will cover about direct seeding plants that we need to do. But yes, scallions, onions, tubers, those are the ones that you want to do, root vegetables. You could also do some ginger. You could start them now. You could do turmeric. So all those tubers that you want to plant them outdoors, you could start them indoors now as well. Onions and leeks. are also I have leeks here. Let me show you what leeks. So the leeks, we didn't plant them now in March. So onions and leeks especially benefit from being started indoors because they need a longer growing period, just like the tubes as well. So most of these that you could start them indoors will benefit big time. Starting them now gives them plenty of time to develop before being moved into the garden. Next are fruiting plants. These plants take longer to grow and are some of the most important seeds to start in March. If you wait too long to start them, you might miss the best growing window. Some fruiting plants to start indoors now are so you could start some tomatoes. I have different varieties of tomatoes here. You could also, there's another variety of tomatoes, beef tomatoes, cherry tomatoes, all of them. You want to start them in March. Tomatillo, you could start them in March as well. So all the different varieties. What else do I have here? Oh, ground cherries. You could start them also in March. So all these tomatoes, the tomato family, you could start majority of them in March. You could also start some peppers, so hot peppers, sweet peppers, bell peppers. You could all start them in March. All of them, you could start them right away because they take a while to grow. They take a while to sprout and start growing as well. So you want to start them all. Right, these are all different varieties of hot peppers that I got. You could start them all in March. So if you like peppers like me, you're not behind. You just have to get on it and start them. All right, these are all different varieties of peppers, and I'm starting them all now. So make sure you start your peppers. You could also start some eggplant. If you like eggplant, start some eggplant in March. And that's about it. Tomatoes, peppers, eggplant, tomatoes, ground cherries. All of these are especially popular for home growing as people, that's the start of the garden. People love growing them, but to get a head start, you need the indoor growth before transplanting it outside. So by starting them indoors in March, they'll be strong and ready to grow once the warmer weather arrives. Next, let's talk about flowers. So flowers are also wonderful plants to start indoors. This time of the year, not only do they add beauty to your garden, but they also attract pollinators, which is very important to have. Especially, we just finished talking about fruit and plants, right? Like the tomatoes, they need the pollinators. They need like bees and butterflies that help your garden vegetable plants to thrive. Some of the flowering plants you could start indoors include, so you could start marigolds. Marigolds are great for pollinators and also pest protectors. Okay, so you need marigolds in your garden to help your fruiting plants. Zinnias are a nice one that brings a lot of beauty to your garden, so you want to start them indoors as well. Cosmo also is beautiful in the garden. Some snapdragon, alyssum. You could also do some calendulas, are very pretty in the garden. And most of these are pest traps. Calendula is a pest trap. So when you have aphids and stuff, it sticks underneath the petals. So this is very important to have in the garden. It also doubles up as a medicinal plant or herb that you could use. So this is very important and you should have it in your garden and start growing them in March. Another one that I don't have any seeds of our petunias are good to start indoors now in March, and slavias are good, and vibranium is also good to start indoors in March. So these flowers help create great balance garden ecosystem and improves the productivity of your food garden. Another beautiful option to start indoors in March is edible flowers. Edible flowers can be used in salads, teas, desserts, and drinks, and they also add color and life to your garden. Some of the edible flowers you could start indoors in March are nasturtiums. I love planting them in the garden. So you could start them indoors to get a head start. There's all different varieties. Nasturtiums are great edible flowers. The flowers are edible. Also, it doubles up as a pest trap. So the aphids will stick underneath its leafy greens, but you could eat the whole plant. I have tons of it. Okay, tons of it growing. I got tons of seeds because I love what nasturtium does in your garden. Bergamot bergamot is also a great one to start in March. Echinacea is also a great one. Catnip is a great one. Borage, calendula. So some of them will overlap with the flowers and the edible flowers. Some of the flowers are edible, but all of these are great to start. Bee balm, I don't have the seeds for them, but you could start those as well. Lavender, we did talk about it in herbs, is also edible flower that you could start in March. So many edible flowers are also excellent for pollinator plants. So they do double. So that's why you will see them over like in the herbs and the edible flower and flowering. They have triple power, I'll call it. Beauty and edible and also help you in the garden. Make sure you start some of these in your garden because it helps you support the health of your entire garden. So now, if you brand new to gardening, you might be looking at this list and thinking, it feels like a lot, right? Because there's a lot of plants that we went over. And that's completely normal. The best way to start a garden is to start small. So instead of trying to grow everything at once, choose just 3 plants to begin with. A great beginner combination would be like lettuce, basil, tomatoes. Those you could start and also add in one of those edible flowers. These plants are productive, beginner friendly, and very easy in everyday cooking. So even one plant can start your garden journey today. So choose the four from the all the different categories, choose one from each and then start them. Starting seeds in March is one of the most powerful things you could do to prepare for a successful garden season. So even the smallest seeds can grow into something amazing. If you like what you learn here today with me and you want to learn more, you could go onto my channel or also down in the description, I will have a link to find your food garden method. And that will help you start your journey. You take that quiz and you're going to figure out which method aligns with your lifestyle. And then you choose the plants that we're talking about starting today to use them in that growing method. And remember, one plant at a time, you got this.